Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. One of my favorite companies, Goliath Resources, had news out today that I wanted to talk about. Roger, I got a new classification for Goliath and a few of my other picks. I call them unicorns. And in your case, I believe you guys have a unicorn gold discovery in the Golden Triangle of British Columbia. Earlier today, I was talking about your news, and I said that this could rank up there with the Eskay Creek discovery and the Bruce Jack discovery that caused Pretium to get taken over. I followed it closely in my reports, and I actually think it could fit in between those two. So that's why it's a unicorn. And thanks a lot for joining me today, Roger.
Always a pleasure, Alan. Happy to be here, and very timely, obviously, with the news today. And we just closed that financing last week. We were blacked out at the lab during that entire time, and expect to see hopefully news flow now with the cadence of the labs, kind of maybe every 2 to 3 weeks. I could see news flow going right into the certainly for the rest of the year and possibly into January of 2026. Nice thing about that, the fact there's no financing overhang to the story now. I mean, we just closed this bought deal with Stifel and CIBC last week of a significant amount of money that'll basically pay for our drilling program for next year. So we're fully funded, folks, for 2026. In addition, as you know, we've got close to 900,000 shares of the McEwen Inc. stock, which we currently still hold, and that's worth around $26 million, plus the cash that we currently have in the till. Plus, we've got $2.2 million worth of warrants that are primarily owned by Rob McEwen personally and Crescat Capital at 71 cent strike price. That's another $2.2 million. Um,
Pretty
you know,
good chance those will get exercised.
Very high probability for sure, and nice thing that it is sticky money coming in, and then so we're going to be obviously we're well positioned, a strong balance sheet going into 2026 in these uncertain times because it is a bit of a shit show out there, and I'm glad we were able to get that deal done last week at $4.39 on average, no warrant, so minimal dilution to the shareholders
At a premium.
at a significant premium. I mean, now we're trading at close as we talk, as we record this, like $2.50. We're down 6 cents. Who figures after some awesome news here on four holes that we've announced? 10.72 grams per ton gold, and that's gold only. The gold equivalent numbers will come in once we have the multi-elements, and that's over 7.83 meters, and then that's including a 20.37 grams per ton gold over 4.1 meters as well. And in addition to, I mean, the three other holes that we're announcing in this news release are also headliner newsworthy-ish as well. But unfortunately, we can only pick one, and people just have to read the rest of the news release.
Well, it seems that the market is paying attention today to a framework of a trade deal between China and the United States. But what I pay a lot of attention to, Roger, and I think is the key driver of what has got gold into a series of record highs throughout 2024 and 2025 is what I call the death spiral of debt. Just the other day, just last week, they talked about the debt being $38.2 trillion dollars. I believe it's on a path to $40 trillion dollars in 2025. And if you use current prices of interest rates, that means the cost of servicing the debt is going to be $1.6 trillion dollars. This gold bull market is a long way from over. I don't care if it drops $100 today like it has earlier. I just think it's going to a lot more record highs in the future, in the near term and the long term. What are your thoughts on that, Roger?
Yeah, I totally agree with you here. A nice sort of retracing here, some nice consolidation. I mean, think about it, folks. Gold is at over 4,000 an ounce. Like that is crazy. Is it going to five next year? Most likely. So, a little pullback here, nice healthy consolidation, and then ready for liftoff for the next round. So, I think, folks that are currently shareholders of Goliath are thinking about becoming a shareholder. I mean, you get a nice exposure to basically, as you pointed out, a mountain of gold.
Right
Some of
behind you.
Exactly. I mean, some of the stats here um, are quite shocking, actually. Just the amount of gold, like 92% of the holes we've drilled since 2021. The visible gold to the naked eye, VGNE, as we coined it. So that's 355 holes out of 386 we've drilled on the Surebet proper itself to date. And still remains open and clearly it's certainly meeting its name with your coining it to the mountain of gold.
There you go. Well, Roger, I also think it's important to highlight the phenomenal job that you guys have done as far as the amount of drilling and how you've still been able to keep the share structure really well intact in a strong situation. And look at some of the shareholders you got. You got Kreska, you got McEwen Inc. And because of that, you didn't take their cash, you took their stock, which is now about 2.5 times more than what you took it for. Their stock was worth a lot more than their cash. You got this Singapore fund, you've got Kreska, you've got Rob McEwen personally, as well as McEwen Inc., Larry Childress. I'm forgetting somebody. Who else is
Eric's broad.
Eric Sprott? Wow, I mean, they got the who's who.
We do. Yeah, no, we definitely have a nice shareholder register here. We have the cornerstone of the titans of the entire industry here. So, sooner or later, big things I believe should happen at some point. We're planning it obviously to have another aggressive drill program for 2020 for 2026. As mentioned, it's essentially fully funded, which is awesome. So, assuming we can continue to deliver the type of numbers that we're demonstrating today, I suspect that eventually the beatdown of the various gold explorers will subside and people will be looking for value, good quality assets with a solid balance sheet. And we tick all those boxes. So I'm not worried. It's just a, minor glitch here. People, some would call me, it's down 2 pennies. What's going on? It's like, think longer term here. So, with those names you've mentioned, all of these folks, that are coming in now, at $3. That was basically the back end cost. A lot of these large institutional groups. It was more of a strategic investment as well. The 26.3 million, which is oversubscribed. Like it was like 5 times oversubscribed. And most of the names, I'd say 90% of the names that came in are long-term visionaries of, aligned with what we see down the road. They don't want to miss the next Great Bear transaction.
Well, Roger, you've got a map that, or you've got an image there that tells a story, and I've got a couple of maps to show people. But to Roger's left there, you can see a big crack in the earth that comes down, and then you see two sort of vertical ones to his right side that also come down. And if you notice, they come together. It's a little bit under that map, but they all come together. Now, these cracks are really important because that's how the fluids that make their way up to the surface use a path to, as a path of least resistance, to make their way up to the surface. Now, Roger, you got a couple of great images that I'm going to share now. And so there's the headline: Goliath drills multiple high grade gold intervals up to 10.72 grams per ton of gold over 7.83 meters. Folks, in a lot of systems, if you've got a couple meters of 10 gram, almost 11 grams, that's a great situation. Including in that is 20.37 grams over 4 meters. Okay, so now This really tells the story, folks. These red intersections are all where the visible gold by the naked eye is found in the drill holes. If you look this from here over to here, you're looking at probably a kilometer and a half.
Yeah.
From here to here, you're probably looking at close to, let's say, almost a kilometer. Here is one of the big cracks, and you notice how the gold is, and here's another of the big cracks. Notice how all that visible gold is widespread. Now, to put that in context, folks, in explorers would be happy to have one or two intersections or a few intersections, less than 10 intersections of visible gold like this. Just look at, there's got to be 150, 200 intersections of visible gold, and that's in a drill core. Companies get excited about visible gold at the surface where they find a few grains of visible gold. Look at, and that all uh, comes from either fine-grained visible gold all the way to abundant coarse-grained visible gold, folks. This is why I call this a unicorn gold discovery. What do you think about that, Roger?
We're loving it, actually. Actually, it's 355 holes of 386 have been drilled to date have the VGNE.
Wow.
And to tag onto your unicorn, which I presented, I guess that was back in last week. I was in San Diego, Coronado there, one of the conferences. In my mind, in addition to the unicorn, I guess maybe we have a unicorn times two. That being the fact we have actually found gold with these Eocene aged reduced
Great.
intrusive dikes and the granitoids, which up until we discovered this late last year, this didn't exist. So in my mind, that's a bit of a unicorn as well. We've actually found something that everyone has said didn't exist. We've actually proven everyone wrong. And literally, I think have turned the Golden Triangle upside down on its head. And now everyone is scattering, looking for, or re-looking at old data at these granitoids, saying, "Hey, we should really be looking at these young granitoid dikes that possibly could be carrying, high-grade mineralization of mineable widths, and which we actually have found as well. Like our best hole in one of the dikes was actually returned just about 12 and a half grams per ton gold equivalent over 10 meters. I mean, that's significant. And it also had visible in it as well. So again, it's quite shocking. And we're, as you say, some nice upside surprises along the way. So clearly, we're definitely on track to really defining this system. It does remain open. And, there's lots more to come here.
So, folks, what Rogers talked. So this is the crack in the earth, if you will. That's to Rogers' left in his image, and to Rogers' right are these vertical cracks, and these are indicative of the reduced intrusion related gold bearing vertical system that comes in. And then there's also a series of stacked, gently dipping veins, similar to what has made the Pogo discovery so fantastic. And this map shows you a little bit more about what I talked about earlier, how these cracks in the earth are coming together down here towards the bottom of the mountain, which opens up this whole area that even off this image that is quite perspective as the source of where all this gold, visible gold to the naked eye, is coming from. But it gets even better. And here's why I say it gets even better. So now, folks, you're looking at a cross section. And this is like cutting a cake in half and looking at it from the side. And look at the distribution. Look at 13 grams over 6 meters 12 grams over 11 meters, 12.5 grams over 8 meters, 11.7 over 11, 15.4 over 11.9, 11 grams per ton of gold over 27 meters, 10 grams per ton. So, what this is showing you, folks, is a modeled image. This is better than just a cross section. This actually shows you the veins that are stacked. One series goes in this direction, another series goes in this direction. So it's almost like there's two pogos coming in from different directions. And if you sort of follow those out, you would be looking at about 3 kilometers apart of where the source is for what's coming up. It just gets better and better no matter what science you throw at this, Roger.
Yeah, no, exactly. And and obviously the exercise here is to demonstrate to the viewers and the readers of our news releases that these veins do have continuity and predictability. Again, when we're drilling on the model, we're typically hitting it within sort of five or either bang on or sort of 5 to 10 meters type of thing. So yeah, it's great. Every year it gets better. We learn more about the system, and one of the things that we did do this year is focus on a sort of 300 by 300 meter area on a series of see, this is Bonanza BN2 vein. There's also well, there's 1 through 6. So BN2 and BN3 will have pierce points in them, separated by sort of 25 to 50 meter spacing, with the hopes that we can demonstrate, back in the envelope, there could be, maybe possibly 1 million ounces of high grade out of the gate, that would, pay for the capex to put this into production.
But that's just like a stage one of
Correct.
a bigger project because
Correct.
you're looking potentially at a lot more than 1 million ounces. What you're
Yeah.
talking about is going in there with the what would pay for the entire underground mining system, right, Roger?
Definitely. No, this is just a small portion. We're talking like a 300 by 300 meter section of that big purple blob here, which runs for, quite quite a distance here. So, again, the idea that looking for that first 1 million ounces, which every tier one miner is looking for to pay for capex. I mean, analysts, uh, low to high is much higher, much higher than what I've discussed about this 300 by 300 meter area. But yeah, clearly it's just a section of it. It's not obviously the entire zone.
Look
Uh,
at the scale here, folks. This is 150 meters. So what Roger's talking about is basically from the tip of this point to about maybe over here. And you not just 300 meters along strike, but you could be looking at 300 meters top to bottom as well. And how much does it go into the mountain? So, this whole area is wide open. And I keep looking at this map, Roger, and seeing these series of veins striking towards the east, and these stacked veins striking towards the west. And what that makes me think is, well, the source of these is probably way over here off the map, and the source of these are probably way over here. So if you started to connect those dots, that could be a magma chamber that's 3 to 5,000 meters, and you're just looking at the edges of it, bringing in those sheeted veins. It's like you've got two pogos sitting here.
yeah, yeah, and to that, obviously the dipping to the east southeast. I mean, that is going towards the jackpot showing, where, as you know, we had samples that ran over 21 ounces gold equivalent from a couple of the veins there. And that's that big sample I carry around with me at the conferences, with that huge piece of leaf gold, popping out of the vein. So, and that's at 1.5 kilometers away to the east southeast.
Yeah.
So clearly, I mean, it's all connected somehow. There's obviously a big magma chamber here, intrusive body. Everything, based on the science that Colorado School of Mines have done for us. Everything is age dated and it looks to be like even with the reduced intrusive, the dikes, the granitoids, and these shear zones were in place roughly around the same time. So
So a common source that
correct. Yeah, the causative intrusive, essentially, somewhere lurking, which, clearly, logic. I mean, I'm not a geologist, but logic would suggest that it's probably somewhere below, like you're talking about, where all these veins are kind of coming down, converging into one area. So obviously, that's something that we did put a deep hole into the system this year. Obviously, assays pending on that one. And we tried a couple theories. So, and we put a hole into the hydropluton, which is just off to the west there. So, I think to your bathtub analogy, exactly. So
with the
we'll see.
magma chamber at the bottom of the bathtub.
Correct, correct. So we'll see what happens. So lots to look forward to. I mean, the shareholders got to be happy. I mean, the fact that again we're in a very unique position, well capitalized, amazing project, amazing team of people. We've already locked up our drillers for next year. We've got the helicopter pilots, the company, everything's locked up. So we know a pretty good idea what we want to do, but ultimately we're going to have to update the model once we have all the assay results, and then make a final plan of where we want to continue drilling. Obviously, we want to expand the system to depth and to laterally.
So when I say that you throw more science at something and it gets better and better, and that's a trend that my mentor in geology used to talk about, that is how mines are grow. But you got a young chap there, Randall Karcher, at the Colorado School of Mines that has seen something that I've also noticed. You mentioned a causative intrusion or a magma chamber, if you will, folks. That
Mhm.
would be the heat engine that forced, and the power of that forced all the visible gold into those sheeted veins and the reduced intrusion related vertical dikes. And I'm a gold guy, so I follow the gold, Roger. And what I noticed is when we're high in the mountain, you had fine-grained visible gold that was sporadic. Okay, as you've gone deeper, it turned into fine-grained gold that's abundant. Deeper, you started to see coarse-grained gold, and deeper, you started to see abundant coarse-grained visible gold. So what that is, think of it like a temperature gauge, folks.
Yeah.
That as you get closer to the heat engine, the source, you get more of this visible gold. Now, what Randall has done is he's looked at it geochemically. Okay, he's looked at the other elements, and he can see the same kind of a temperature gauge based on the alteration inside the system and in the other elements. So all of this is pointing towards a cause, a source that's very big, very powerful, and has the potential of continuing this trend of coarse, visible gold that could get more and more chunky, as I like to call it, Roger.
You betcha. Yeah, good. Great analogy. Yeah, certainly up in the higher portion of the system. And again, when we say deeper and deeper, we're still above 200 meters above the valley floor. Just to point that out. And the higher up in the system, we're seeing more sphalerite, galena, lead, zinc, so more sulfides. But as we're coming down, we're seeing more moly, bismuth, tellurides, and obviously the coarser grade gold. To your point.
So that again, folks, it's like you got I call it a bathtub, and at the bottom of the bathtub is the magma chamber. Coming up the sides is what could potentially be the cause of the sheeted veins dipping in the west and the east. And then you think about putting a temperature gauge into that bathtub. And as you go deeper in, you're getting this hotter environment and closer to the what caused all this system. Roger, however I look at it, that's why I call this a unicorn gold discovery, and unicorns don't come around very often, folks.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with Alan.
Awesome, Roger. Well, you got a closing comment?
Plenty of news flow, no financing for a long time. And hopefully we have some better markets here, better connection or the disconnect between the equities and the actual commodity itself. I think we're set for a really decent year end and going into Q1 and probably all of 2026 as I think we could see, north of $5,000 gold in next year.
And no warrant. Well, the only warrant overhang is way in the money that will get you a couple
Sure.
more million, and
Sure.
you're loaded up with cash for next year. You're ending this year in the by far the best financial position the company has ever been in.
Yeah, no, Alan, I've learned my lessons the hard way and always planning for the future. There will be one set of warrants, though.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no. The cheap warrant, the 77 warrants are expiring this December. The last set of warrants, other than the finder warrants to the brokers, is McEwen Inc. And those
Oh,
expire in March of
oh.
2026. That would bring in another $6.5 million into the treasury, assuming those get exercised.
Well, I think that McEwen Inc. made a strategic investment and a very good strategic investment, and I think they'll want to increase their position. So, great job, Roger, getting the money together, great results, and a whole bunch more assay results to come out. How many
Yeah,
holes?
again, starting now, hopefully the cadence is every 2 to 3 weeks, going all the way into January. Again, we've got a lot of holes to report here now, 84.
Wow. Okay, so good news flow, you might say.
We have a pipeline rammed with news flow. What the results are, I have no idea. Obviously, we've got to wait for the truth machine, but based on the fact that forget the net, whatever, 78% or have VGNE. I suspect that obviously they're going to have gold in them as to what sort of grades and widths. Then obviously we'll just have to wait for assays to come from the lab. But
Well, we got pretty good evidence from the past holes.
correct. Well, do the logic. People can do the math and they can do their due diligence and figure out what the probability is.
Awesome, Roger. Thanks a lot. As always, folks, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors. I've done my homework. I'm a shareholder. I have classified this as a unicorn gold discovery. It's an important one. There is a very minimal amount of important uh, uh, high grade gold discoveries in the pipeline. And I also believe that the major mining companies are going to start needing to do strategic investments into developers and explorers with important discoveries because just look at what happened recently with Newmont. Newmont announced a $1.6 billion of free cash flow in the second quarter and or in the third quarter of 2025, their best ever, and yet the stock is down. And what that tells you is the market wants growth from these majors. And the only way they can do that is they got to start supporting the developers with high quality projects and the explorers with important discoveries. And so as Roger said, we see much higher gold prices. I think we're going to see 5,000 in the first quarter of 2026. And if you start looking at that price and the need of the majors, projects like a unicorn with gold discovery are going to become more and more important. So have a great